Of course it is, because he's obviously on tryout right now on a showcase, letting these scouts see him. He's hitting the ball with another RBI last night. He's 4 for 10 over the weekend in San Diego. He's done that over his career. He'll take some time off, come back, hit well for a short burst, and then settle back down into what a 36-year-old man with a history of lower body injuries is supposed to hit like. He can't hit anymore. He just can't. He's got warning track power, and he struggles to hit 200. But he's been hitting well for a few days here. Now's the time you have to move Chase Utley before he settles back in. Not that listen, you're not going to fool other scouts. They know what they're saying. They would be hopeful too that, look, all they really need him for is a month, try to get him on that roster in time to be eligible for the playoffs. He brings a world championship. He brings a know-how of how to win. He brings if you're thinking about trading for Chase Utley, you're thinking maybe a change of scenery helps. That's been long a sports standard. That's happened time and time again. So he gets revived. He goes somewhere for a little bit, gets revived for a month. Maybe he hits 265 in September for you. Of course, he's going to be good in the clubhouse and all the other things. But his time with Philadelphia is up. He cannot take one more at-bat away from Cesar Hernandez. And everybody knows that.
There is, and I think I asked the question then. I think most people should agree with you. Do you think he's the one guy that Phillies fans would rather see them keep? I think fans were okay with Rollins. They were okay with Hamels. But do you think the fans and even the organization still want to see Utley here, or have they let go of Chase Utley as well?
They let go. Yeah. I guess they prefer to get a chance to watch him. They enjoy watching him play. But look, there's a team that's going to finish with one of the 3 worst records in baseball. It's long past 08 and 09 and 010 and 11. It's just past that, and everybody's moved on. I mean, when Rollins went, Hamels went, people understand it's just long overdue for Chase Utley to have a chance to go somewhere else and to open that. What are you going to get? You're not going to get anything great for him. Maybe you get a Class A pitcher or something like you got or even a little better than that. Maybe something like you got in the Papelbon deal or something to that effect. I mean, not only that, he's a rental player. He's not. You won't even have him signed for next year. So he's strictly a rental player. I don't know what you get for him, but it would be best for Chase Utley and best for the Phillies at this point that it's just time for him to go.
Yeah, and the question would be, is he willing to let go at this point, or does he want to stay here and kind of be a guy who's a Philly? Because as you said, what are they going to get for him? If you're not going to get much, is he still a draw?
Not a draw. No, he's not a draw. He'd be a draw to some team if all of a sudden he comes in September, like I said, and gets 3 home runs in a month or something, and that's the difference in making the playoffs or not. He'd get some people in some other city enthusiastic, but I can't for the life of me think that anybody pays in Philadelphia says, let's go down and watch Chase Utley play. If you haven't seen Chase Utley play by now, you missed your chance, right? You had plenty of chances.
Pretty much. Jack McCaffery's with us, sports columnist, Delaware Kelly Daily Times, writes a piece about why now is the time for Utley. And is it a lot of it about, too, that the Phillies finally have the feel, Jack, that they're moving in the right direction, and this would kind of be the final ending piece to all that, to say, look, we have completely moved on. I guess Ruiz would still be here, but, Utley's really the last high-profile guy. Is it almost part of that they need to move Utley as well?
Yeah, you still have Ruiz and still have Ryan Howard. That would be the last 2 from the big group that won the championship. It's a little bit of that. I don't know that ceremony here, like, hey, here's a break up and we're going to move on. The fact that Hernandez is playing so well, he's got speed, he's a better defensive player than Utley, he doesn't have a lot of power, but he drives the ball a little harder than Utley at this point. You might be able to get some people enthused in September watching Franco, Galvis, Hernandez, Herrera, Morgan, Nola, Giles. You might be able to get people enthused watching that. Ryan Howard is not an impediment to anybody, really, at first base. And Ryan Howard can still – he might wind up with 20-something home runs and 80 RBIs or 75 RBIs. He's giving you something. Utley can give you nothing. And again, if Ryan Howard was somehow blocking somebody at first base, you'd say, it's time to really, at all costs, get rid of him, too. Utley's blocking Hernandez. And I realized that he played first base last night. But for the most part, the longer you keep him around and keep him in that lineup, he's going to be clogging that second base opportunity that Hernandez deserves and has earned. And what I have to think more people want to watch Hernandez play right now than Utley.
I hope so. And, Jack, you mentioned something about September. You've been covering the team for a long time. Obviously, you've been around this team in the good and now the bad. But do you get a sense? You mentioned enthused. Do you feel that people are coming around a little bit? I think apathy entered this year. Is that going away just a little bit with the Hamels deal and some of the things they've done?
I think it's going away a little bit, Mike, with the way that they're winning games. Winning games gets people interested. They're going to probably bounce back to where about they should be. And Las Vegas had them at 67 wins coming into the year. Surprise, surprise. That's about where they're going to wind up in around there. So they might level off in September, and this hot streak will be over. But they're a little bit they're more fun to watch. They enjoy themselves more. If you watch, they're happier in the clubhouse. They're happier in the dugout. They're up in the dugout. They're fired up. They're proud of themselves for doing a little something. They're starting to get their own identity. I mean, this Michael Franco is ridiculous. He's so good. He hits the ball an absolute ton, like to places where other people can't hit the ball, and with a speed that the ball leaves his bat. And go back way back to Richie Allen. He's kind of like that kind of hitter. It jumps off his bat, and you say, well, wow, that ball got out of the park faster than you see most people be able to do it. He's got that kind of stuff. You've got him, and you've got Herrera starting to play well. Maybe Galvis isn't your long-term shortstop, but he's something. You're starting to see the younger players take a more of a visibility role, and that's important too. Chase Utley's a good influence in the clubhouse, but he's older than these guys, and he doesn't hit very well. And he's going and he's not a very bubbly kind of personality. He's very sullen, and that personality can overwhelm a clubhouse when you're not producing. Now, he's produced the last 5 days, but he's not going to produce long term here. And if he does go into some kind of tailspin, they might not be able to get rid of him at all. So they might as well move him now, get a pitcher or two, continue this little project that they have of restocking the pitching staff and the farm system. Basically, at this point, they're playing a game of numbers. They got pitching for Rollins, they got pitching for Bird, they got pitching and other things for Hamels, they got a pitcher for Papelbon, they got pitchers for Revere. So, and then they'll probably get a pitcher for Utley. What are they trying to do? They're trying to get a bunch of lottery tickets. And the more lottery tickets you have, better chance that one or two of them are going to hit. And that's what it is. They're just trying to load up on as many young pitchers as they can. And if they do, the law of averages will favor them. Some of these, one or two of these pitchers that they've been acquiring for like the last 9 months, they're going to get lucky on and be successful with. And that's the plan. So you trade Utley for a couple more ping pong balls in the lottery machine or whatever you want to say.
I was going to say, you're starting to sound like the Phillies have Sam Hinkie running the joint out there, you know?
A little bit. And the difference is they've won a championship, and the difference is that they're at least continuing to try to put together a pretty good team. They have a plan in place. You see McPhail coming in. He's going to be your president next year. And you also had Middleton stand up at a microphone and say, paraphrasing here, relax. we're going to spend the money here. We're going to spend it. So there's not any hidden. They want to get this nucleus established, and then you have to understand too. Unlike the NBA, it's not a salary cap league. So the NBA, one of what Hinkie does is playing around to try to maneuver itself around the salary cap. Phillies are a little bit. Baseball is a little different. You can acquire assets and at the same time hammer away at cash if you want to spend at when the time comes to go get some players. And that's what Middleton said. That's what Middleton implied that he's going to be willing to do.
Jack McCaffery, columnist at the Delaware County Daily Times. You had mentioned, this team is playing better. That's why people get excited. I remember talking to you about a month ago, and you kind of indicated, Jack, that maybe this team shouldn't have been as downrotten bad as it was. Is this to say that Ryan Sandberg or Pete Mackinnon or Ryan Sandberg was that bad, or Pete Mackinnon has done that good of a job?
He's done a very good job. He and Sandberg was that bad. It's both. And it was also, I keep using the phrase, but the law of averages. Listen, Ryan Sandberg was a bad manager who's never going to get another managing job. But McCannon comes in last month. All of a sudden, Ryan Howard starts hitting like a Player of the Month candidate. All of a sudden, they bring up Franco, and he smashes the ball out of the park. He's now gotten in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. Sandberg didn't have him. Sandberg didn't have Nola. So even Dominic Brown has started to hit some home runs. He couldn't hit. He wasn't even around for Sandberg. So to be fair with Sandberg, the dynamics have changed a little bit. The personnel's changed a little bit. Not enough to make a difference in a playoff team or a championship team or anything like that. But McCannon has a better way with players. He's got a better way of communicating. He's been a manager. He's been a big league player. He knows what he's doing. Sandberg, he kind of worked his way up through the minors, and everybody saluted him for that. He didn't play the Hall of Fame card and say, I want to be a big league manager and I want to be one tomorrow because I'm in the Hall of Fame. And I paid his dues, and for those people who watch the minor leagues, which I don't at all, apparently he did okay. He took Lehigh Valley to whatever that's called, whatever the minor league World Series is, the final championship round. But the Cubs never hired him, did they? What's that tell you?
Yeah, and I think a lot of his personality conflicts have come out a lot, that he did not communicate well with the players, and a lot of great players have that problem sometimes. So we'll see. Do you think Pete deserves a shot to be in the mix?
He's got to be in the conversation. He's got to be in the conversation at this point. It's very likely. Let's just, for sake of argument, say, I don't know, they go 12 and 20 in September, and then you reevaluate. But if they continue to play this well, and Hernandez and Herrera and Galvis and Franco continue to develop, and you're even starting to see Cody Ashley drive the ball a little bit, if the young players are starting to make progress, if he looks like he's handling Giles and Nola the way he should, it really would cost McPhail nothing to give him a chance. I mean, it's talked about before. It's the old standard in taking over an operation of any sports team. Let's say if I'm McPhail, okay, I keep McCannon for a year. He becomes manager of the year next year. Who looks great? McPhail. Looks great. Hey, look at us. If McCannon fails next year, then McCannon or then McPhail can say, "Well, he's out of here. I'll bring a new guy in," and say, "He wasn't my guy anyway."
Right.
So he can't lose by giving Pete McCannon another year. But you probably have to. McCannon would probably want a 2-year deal, but you can always eat that second year if you had to.
We're talking with Jack McCaffery from the Delaware County Daily Times. Jack, I want to change gears real fast to your other column about the secondary of the Philadelphia Eagles. They trade Boykin, and then they lose Shepard the other day. How do you think this will all shake out in that secondary now? Are we going to see another disaster at corner? This was supposed to be fixed.
I don't know that it would be a disaster. You should have enough, and they do have enough. They have Watkins and Rowe and Biggers and these other guys that are ready to take that spot. Kelly wasn't high enough on Boykin, obviously, to resist trading him for a 4th-round pick. If he was higher, if he was that much, I've always been the belief that nothing's done by accident. If he traded Boykin, and he knew that he had enough to overcome the loss of Boykin, and also to overcome the loss of at least one injury. And so far, that's all it's been. If he gets multiple injuries on top of this, well, then that's just bad luck. But he's got enough bodies out there. He's got enough bodies that should be able to overcome the loss of Brandon Boykin. What are you talking about? He's not a Pro Bowl player. He's a nickel back that Kelly really wasn't that high on anyway. And the guy who got hurt was a 6th-round draft pick.
Yeah, and Jack, I look at that secondary and feel the same way, that he obviously felt that they had enough to make that move. For some reason, he didn't like Boykin. I don't know what it was. He seems to be fitting in pretty well already. Did a good job while he was here, but I guess they felt that he was expendable. They also felt the same way about the former quarterback, Nick Foles. In your time being around Sam Bradford, I know short, but do you already see a significant difference between these two guys, Nick and Sam?
That's really too short for me to say. Their personalities seem to be pretty similar. They're going out there and they're playing against defenses that aren't hitting. They're not tackling anybody. And not that a quarterback ever gets tackled in practice anyway, but there's no hitting out there. You have to be impressed by the way the ball jumps out of Bradford's hands. He seems to make a good impression with the press. Not that that's makes you a better quarterback, but he's a good communicator. A lot of times I thought that Foles was much more quiet than he had to be. But I don't know. It's too early to say that he's substantially better than Nick Foles. Other than he was the number 1 pick in the draft. He was Rookie of the Year. He's healthy. He's got all of the pedigree to be much better than Nick Foles. But to answer your question direct, if we've seen anything in these few days of training camp, I'd say not enough. Just not enough. He gets a lot of balls dropped. I know that.
Well, it will be fun to see him out there on Sunday for the first time and see what he looks like when the games.
Well, they haven't decided that yet. I'm pretty sure that that's the way they're going to go. But for some reason, Kelly decided today to say he hasn't decided who his quarterback's going to be yet for Sunday.
Okay.
Remarkable, isn't it?
I guess they're a little nervous of getting him out there, but at some point, don't you think he's got to at least appear in one of these preseason games just to get,
yeah. 3 of them. If he doesn't play some, or at least 2 of them. Yeah. If he doesn't play some, he'll play in the following 2. The starting quarterback never usually plays in that 4th game. But he'll play. Right. My guess is that, I tell you what, when I talked to Bradford after practice today, he wants to put it this way. He made it pretty clear that he would like to play. And if that's the tiebreaker, if that's the tiebreaker, then that's what Kelly will do. If Kelly was on the fence at all, and now you've got Bradford coming out kind of campaigning for it, then I think he's got to give him the job on Sunday.
Good stuff. Jack McCaffery, the sports columnist for the Delaware County Daily Times. Check out his piece on Chase Utley. It's a great article, good read, and also the Eagles' plans for the nickelback spot, which is up in the air. We'll see that all play out starting on Sunday. You can hear the game right here on 97.3. It's always a pleasure, Jack. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, Mike. Thank you.